You don't have to have a cap.
Yes, when we go into closed session, we're doing something a little different, so we don't have to cover it up and, or go offline and start another one. We will be off the public, but, then when we come back in open session, we'll be back in open. So everybody is aware of that.
So they'll stop recording it?
We'll stop it here because we're running through. That's why.
They'll stop and leave. We'll keep going, but it's just gonna be a black screen.
Yes, until we come back in open.
It'll say closed session right there.
Are they running it on cable?
Yeah, they are running on cable as well.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. The common council meeting of Wednesday, November 6th. Roll call please here.
Amy Johnson. Here. Lee Dashlet.
Here.
Casey Boer.
Here.
Wayne Schmidt.
Here.
Midge Swedberg. Here. Scott Meverden.
Here.
John Ortlieb.
Here.
Kevin Schmidt.
Here.
Thank you. I'll stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did you conclude the meeting in compliance with the meetings law?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I would look for a motion to approve or to make changes to the order of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Midge, second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There was 2 meeting minutes, October 7th and October 15th. Everyone had a chance to look at them.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Moved to accept by Kevin, second by Midge. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there anybody here tonight for public comment? I see one, Mike. Come up and state your name, your address for the record, please.
Mike Frilly, Summit Beach Drive here in Algoma. Mr. Mayor, council, gentlemen and ladies of the city, I come before you tonight as a private citizen concerned about the well-being and the business of the city. I've lived here for several years now, and I've come to love this town, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I also stand before you tonight as a member of the American Legion. I've been to a few meetings now and commented on the Legion and my thoughts concerning the city and the facilities here. I want to say tonight, thank you very much to the entire community for the support that we've seen and for the work that's been done on the Legion Post. I've heard comments from numerous people around the city saying how good the repair work that was done on the building, how good it looks and how well it represents the city and the entire community. One of the items that the Legion is heavily pursuing is the restoration of the cannon that's sitting in Legion Park. We're getting close to having the cannon sandblasted and painted and new wheels made for it. One of the things that we would like to do, and having spoken with several members of the community, including members of this council, is to relocate that cannon, the position of it, from under that tree. Get it out, hopefully a little closer to the main highway, and to put it on a concrete slab or some type of slab, get it elevated off the ground. Not high, but, we want to have some jacks made to sit under it. To hold, just enough to hold the wheels about 2 inches off the ground. Sitting on a solid slab, preferably concrete. That'll, allow easy maintenance around it, but still to keep a clean, look to the area. So we're hoping to do that as well. I visited again with several people and expressed our views concerning the location. And most everyone seems to be in agreement. I will get with the mayor and the commissioners and various other people of the community and agree on the location and the work to be done with that. But again, I thank the city for the work that they did on the post building. I think it looks good. The only other thing I am looking for in the, let's say, immediate future is a small replacement on the two windows on the west side of the building. The windows themselves are fine. The framework around them appears to be fine, but the wood material that above the window had some significant rotted wood on it. And although that's not I don't think that's a major item. I think that's something that would certainly facilitate the use of the building and is going to become a necessary project on down the road. Again, I thank everyone involved and appreciate the efforts that the city is doing as a whole. And I say thank you very much. I'm proud to be here.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Third call? Seeing none? Has everybody had a chance to look at the bills and the credit card payments? Is there any discussion? If not, we would look for a motion to accept them.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Casey, second by Lee. Roll call, Karen.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Boer,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Dashlet,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Beverden.
Yes.
We have 8 committee reports. Has everyone had a chance to look at those reports?
I make a motion to approve committee reports.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Lee and seconded by Amy.
I have one question.
Okay,
Casey, can you, the summer task you had asked, for tourism and promotion, how they're covering I'm trying to understand what Lee Hash had said regarding how they pay the bills in the summer when they're not meeting or whatever. How is that working?
Well, we had determined that going forward, as we discuss the things that we're going to spend money on, we also discuss the assignment of duties that they require in the off season throughout the year. So everybody has an understanding, everybody's on the same page. So right now it's, you know, an item issue that's going to be, will be rectified. The entirety of it will be rectified by the time we come around a full year with this setup as a commission. We'll have a full understanding. Everybody in the commission will have an understanding. You guys will be able to see it better and I'll be able to explain it better. But yeah, that's basically, Rosemary had recommended that real time as we go through them to add that component. So, you know, staff here is aware, we all are aware. So it's an ongoing thing, but we'll have it all rectified by the time the budget comes in.
is there any other discussion?
Just on the library, we're talking about moving them upstairs in the 208 Steel Street building. Kathy, does that look okay to you?
I'm sorry, does what look okay?
They moved to the new building. Does that look like something we can do, or is that gonna be a real problem?
It's not on the agenda. We can discuss it.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah,
a committee.
Can't,
Okay, sorry.
sorry. Any other discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? License applications, is that just a placeholder, Aaron, or you have some?
Yep, just a placeholder. We will be having a special meeting after our next finance and personnel meeting. Because I did have a liquor license, class A combination license come through. I'm not quite done with it yet, but it will be ready for the next PPP meeting. And then we'd like to get it approved right after the next finance and personnel meeting. So just a heads up on that.
Thank you. See no old business, new business. We have an ordinance for the wastewater. You want to explain that, man?
So this is the first reading on the sewer rate increase ordinance for 2025. If you page through it, everything that is changing is highlighted in red. Everything that's going away is struck out with a black line through it. This was updated last year after a rate study to implement a two-step increase at that time, and then following that, starting with January 1, 2025, it's a 3% increase per year. So every new number in here is a 3% increase over 2024. We did, however, add on page 3, line 87 in red text there, it says and subsection G 4A through C, which also, which I think was just missed last year. But that gives us the authorization then to also adjust the rates for the waste haulers, for the private waste haulers that we bill monthly. So this is the first reading. It will be back in December for final reading and adoption.
Any questions on that? We don't need an action then.
Could we get a motion and probably a roll call with it, just
Okay.
because it is
A motion to
monetary?
accept it as a first reading
Motion to accept.
by Casey,
I'll second.
second by Amy. And then roll call.
Bartley,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yeah.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Dashlet,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Beverden.
Yes.
And then fire EMS, location of fire EMS station.
Yes, so this has been kind of talked about. I know we have a lot of options on the table. There's still a lot of options on the table. Another one tonight that we're gonna talk about next on the agenda. But start to look to nail down where we're going to build this. Jim Kleist from Bayland has been up in the city of Algoma here working on another project. And we need to kind of give him direction of where we're gonna put this. It's kind of our next step of, so he's not chasing his tail around of where we wanna go with this building. So there's a lot of different options on the table. But I just wanna make sure that if we're going with option 1 or where we're going, that we kind of have this nailed down.
I thought that, weren't we waiting for him to take a look and give us some insight of
And
feasibility?
he's been tasked with that,
Okay,
okay? So if that's the direction we're going, then we're headed in the right direction. But if that's not the direction we wanna go,
I guess at this point, if we're gonna have this gentleman come in and we're gonna spend some money to look at direction, we ought to find out if everybody's in favor of that site. And the site I'm talking about is the site right here, attaching it to the library.
correct,
Personally, I'm not in favor of that site, simply because of the traffic pattern. Fremont Street is heavily trafficked in the morning, parents dropping off their kids, in the afternoon, picking them up. If there was a way that you could basically enter and leave off of Fourth, that's one thing. So I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of putting it back up by the end of Film. I hate to see us sit here if the majority says we don't want it here, to have some gentleman come in and spend time and resources to look at that, then we are gonna end up saying, no, we're not doing it anyway.
The end of Feld or the end of Rubber?
Rubbish, excuse me.
Yeah, I thought Rubber.
That's my comment.
For the last meeting, I mean, I'd be in favor of at least exploring the opportunity to put it on site here and make it work going out to Fourth. But I was waiting on, feedback from Jim to see if it was even feasible. If it was gonna come in higher, lower, it's an option at least worth exploring until we have an answer, and it doesn't need to be, and I agree with you, Wayne, 100%, that we don't wanna stick a ton of time and energy into it, but if it's feasible from a high level, like a budgetary, hey, they're the professionals that know whether or not it can or cannot be done and roughly how much it's gonna potentially cost. Without having that data, I'm still open to either or. That's my opinion. Worth exploring until we find the feasibility. I wouldn't say one way or another.
Amy?
I was with you, with those previous comments about looking at the feasibility, but then mulling it over, I'm still not comfortable with it being so close to a school. And again, tonight there's a concert. So then you're dealing with all that. I don't agree with you, the traffic patterns. And even though it would be entering and coming in on 4th Street, I thought there was still something that could possibly be coming off Fremont. So I don't think that's very safe. So I'm not comfortable with going further with this being a spot and looking into it. I was at first, but now I've backed off of that. So I would go back up to the Rubber Street.
Lee?
I agree with what they're all saying, but you gotta remember, you're worried about the school, but while school is going on or this is going on, if there's a fire all of a sudden and it's halfway down between 6th Street and Division Street, they still gotta go on Fremont Street to get there. I mean, it isn't that they're gonna go around the block because there's a program or vice versa. But I understand the concern because of in the morning and, at 3 o'clock or so when you have the kids going around, but I would say, look at, like the rest of them said is, the feasibility here or out on Rubber Street, straight off Sunset.
I would just echo what Scott said. I think that I understand the considerations of potential safety concerns, but without knowing even how the footprint fits on it. And if you think about the number of calls we get, I know that there are more rescue calls than there are fire calls, but as far as the full complement of the department being called out, the frequency of it, it's not like it's a daily occurrence or a multiple time a day. And if it's feasible to look at, because there's still existing architecture over here, potentially that could be incorporated, would be, free aesthetics. If we can, and again, without, an inordinate amount of expense, get like a loose kind of idea of feasibility, I think it's worth at least exploring. So yeah, basically just what Scott said, but repeat it longer. Thank you.
I agree with Scott. I agree with Scott. I think we need to look at, I think there are some safety concerns with children just being around. But they can be overcome so easily by having somebody walk the truck out. Jumping in at the last minute to see 4th Street. Then you're not gonna have kids in the way or getting run over or anything like that. I mean, it's just a matter of procedures that could get it done. But I'd like to see what the feasibility is. And then decide if it's up there or it's right there. Because once we start out and we build it, we're stuck with it for that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
At least, I hope.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin, do you have anything?
I think we should just look at both locations. There's nothing saying that it has to be a straight building. It could be an L-shaped building and enter and exit off the 4th through a parking lot in the back and have no driveways off the Fremont and have like the rescue garages on this side and on this side could be the fire trucks. And then there's a lot of design ideas that I didn't even think of yet.
But I just want to reiterate, we can change the design and we can make it an L shape, but once we start doing that, your price starts to go up.
Oh, obviously, I know that.
So that's just to keep in the back of our heads that if we start altering that straight front facade, then your price starts to go up with that as well.
For the same reason we didn't move it west of town with it being close to homes, I'm also leery about that. There are homes on 42. And they will get the lights and the sirens. And their value will go down for the exact same reason why we didn't want to put it in the other spot. So that's a consideration too.
I'd say when they come out of that fire station, they almost always go down 42. I don't see what the difference would be.
Well, they're not right next to it as they're loading up. But it was the same reason that was mentioned when we were looking at it on Sunset. Oh, we don't want to put it there, it's close to homes.
Well, that's
It's the same thing.
different than when they.
They're close to newer homes.
But if you tie into the library,
Close to homes.
if you tie into the library, I'll tell you this right now, it's gonna be a lot more expensive than just building a straight steel building. Because you're tied into an existing structure, you gotta get your heights and everything figured out, you got old brick and stone that you're trying to blend in. Rather than building just a big steel building is a lot cheaper, like when the label puts an addition on, of course it's cheaper if it's a one big building. So you gotta look at the whole thing, then maybe Rubber Street is the cheapest, if we're strictly on cost. Then Rubber Street's probably the cheapest, more cost effective.
We should let the experts tell us that instead of discussing it too long. You're the only one that didn't have a comment. Do you have one?
I'm in agreement with Scott. We
Okay.
just see what numbers show.
So keep going that direction. That's what everybody's,
No, not every,
no, the majority.
Can I ask,
I would just suggest someone make a motion to see where we all sit.
Okay.
before we do that,
Go ahead.
could I ask what the staff? What, if you have any ideas as far as administrator or chief?
I think that's a great question. Chief, do you want to start?
I have some concerns with being in the proximity of the school. You know, there was talk about having it only from, you know, your morning time from 7 till 8 o'clock and then from 2 till 3 in the afternoon. But if you're around this building, there's kids being dropped off there all day long. And how many nights during the week aren't there other events going on? Listed a great one tonight with the band concert. There's gonna be a lot of people around. Parking is gonna be an issue. There's gonna be, you know, a lot of traffic. It's not the very well best lit on Fremont. So, and to say that we won't be coming in off of Fremont, I can't say that. Because to utilize our drive-through doors, you're gonna have to come in off of Fremont. Just, you've got big apparatus there to make turns. You're gonna have to have access coming off of Fremont Street. So, like I said, I have a concern also about putting it in this location. Just because of school safety and the activities that are going on a very regular basis at the school. And it's not only during the school year. You know, they go through the summertime where they have, you know, their play that they put on during the summer. They have summer school that goes on there, you know, once the regular school year is done. They have summer school sessions that go on for roughly a month after the school year has been completed. So there's a lot of activity that goes on around there, and that is a concern of mine.
Anything to add, Matt?
I'm gonna concur with what the chief has said. That is, I think that's everybody's main goal is the safety of our community, the safety of our children around the school district. There's one thing we have to be very mindful for, right? And if we are building a new building and we do have some other options, I think we have to keep that in mind of how do we make this the safest and the best for our community. So I concur a lot with what the fire chief had said. We do have some alternative. And that's why I want to make sure that I don't have Bayland chasing their tails I mean, there's time involved in all of this, right? And he already has a lot of time involved in this project for the city. I want to make sure that we're going in the right location and we're doing what's the best thing. I think the mayor had said, we get one shot at this to do it right. Let's make sure we're doing it right.
So I need a point of clarification. Are we just looking at 2 spots or is there a third?
Well, I think the third, we have the location, the campus, we're sitting here, right here today. Number two would be the original would be Felt and Sunset. And then just moving north, that 500 feet would be Rubus and Sunset. Which would be on the west side of Sunset, if you came right through on Rubus.
Could I ask a clarification?
I did one follow-up on the clarification, and those last two spots would be new builds.
Yeah, there is nothing on that
Okay,
facility
okay,
today.
that's all I needed, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
The original, the rubbish spot,
Yes,
in the rubbish,
Yep.
at one time, we had to massage the building to fit, but that was because the police station was in there, am I correct?
that is correct.
Yeah, so the fire station alone fits.
That is correct. We,
Yeah.
because of that linear feet that came off of the length of the building,
Okay,
that now becomes an option.
okay.
And just to clarify, there's no issue with that being per se swampland or whatever and having extra DNR stuff.
There's been a wetland delineation and both of those sites would work for this.
Infrastructure, how much infrastructure?
Well, that's where you would gain if we would come north back to Rubus. You would save that infrastructure in that 500 feet to replace. Casey, what do we have from the street shop? There's not a whole lot. 200 feet. Yeah, 200 feet versus 700 feet to get down to Felt and Sunset.
And again, to clarify, I mean, my opinion from the get-go is not necessarily one or the other. I was just in favor of getting the feasibility and getting the information, but I mean, listening to the chief and administration, if you guys are in favor of that and you don't think it's going to work, I don't have a problem supporting going back up there. I'm open to both. I
You
just
got
thought
enough
it
on your
was
mind.
good
When
idea.
fire happens without having to worry about the rest of that.
Right, you know,
Be a good
I just,
idea to get the feasibility, just,
you know,
from that
there are
aspect.
so many of our members currently that are. I'm envisioning out and I would be one of them coming down Fremont Street and would hate to have the dying coming at 7:30 in the morning. And some youngster run out in front of a car coming in. That's a very big concern, right?
We
I
don't have
mean,
any
we talk
idea.
about crosswalks and all of that kind of stuff. But all it takes is one youngster. And then you have a tragedy.
So there's mixed feelings, but it looks like everybody's in favor of rubbish.
Yeah.
Nobody's opposed to rubbish.
Not opposed at all.
So is that our direction?
Sunset.
Sunset rubbish, I'm sorry.
You want to do a motion on that to move forward? Was that
I don't know if the motion.
I would like to, if we could get a
Okay.
motion, that if that's what the direction everybody wants to go, then that's what I would ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we look at the lot on the end of Rubus and Sunset for future expansion of the fire station building, and have our engineer / architects work on that.
I'll second that.
Motions by Kevin and second by Wayne. Would you like to do a roll call on that?
Dashlet,
Yes.
Wortley,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Swedberg. Yes. Beverden,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt.
Yes.
Thank you. The grant for Olsen Park.
Yes, so this was discussed in April, I think, is when we brought this first to everybody. Everybody has a plan, I think, in front of them or paper copy or on their computer. This was adopted by the council to redo Olsen Park from a parking lot and make it more of a park. You can see on this plan, you don't see a swing set and a slide and a pool. It's more of a outdoor nature. There's still parking lot, the boat launches, the kayak launches would stay there. The purple would be some like trails that would go back kind of through this grassland area. It obviously doesn't show trees and stuff in the area. With that being said, we took this plan and in partnership with LNRP, wrote a grant. And we were awarded about a week and a half ago, a grant in the amount of $558,000 to perform 100% of this work. Okay?
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
With that said, I'm just gonna kind of run through the stakeholders here. National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, their contribution to this project is $283,000. The Wisconsin DNR is $70,000. Funds for Lake Michigan, $140,000. The city of Algoma is $20,000 in kind, so that would be our labor, our help to this project. Local foundations would be like the Greater Green Bay Area, the Green Bay Packers, local organizations that put some money towards it is $40,000. And then local nonprofits would be the Friends of Crescent Beach, in-kind dollars of $5,000 is where we get that $558,000. Actual minus that $25,000, the $20,000 from the city, the $5,000 from Friends of Crescent Beach actually gives us a total cash value of $533,000 that the city of Algoma will be administrating this grant with LNRP through them. That is we have zero match to the city. So we don't have to come up with our half. That should get this work done. Okay. With that being said, I don't want to give you all the highlights and without the low light, but a big portion of where we're going with this fire station that we just talked about is this is our snow dump where we take all of our snow from downtown Algoma and where we put it. Okay. In April, this money becomes available, which means by December of 2025 or November of 2025, we have to relocate where we're going to dump our snow, which now will bring our snow dump up on the corner of Felt and Rubis Street where the original, Sunset, thank you, Jamie, where the original proposed fire station would go. So I would be looking for a motion to adopt that location, that we would use that to make that more or less a gravel laydown yard to grade that area, that it would grade north back into that wetlands, and then use that natural grass habitat as a filter strip that would come back around it, and then it joins in kind of the headlands of the Silver Creek. And from the Silver Creek, it would naturally filter that water, that snow melting, before it hit the Anape River.
Didn't we already somewhat discuss doing that in preparation with putting down some type of substrate?
Yeah. Yes, we did, and we were waiting for a location because a lot of it was hinged on where the fire department is gonna go. So this has all been discussed. The two locations that we talked about where this proposed snow dump would go would be on Sunset and Rubis or on the corner of Sunset and Felt, pending on, I didn't want to make a gravel snow dump area and then have to dig it back up because now the fire station's gonna go there.
That makes sense. I'd make a motion to move forward.
So the motion would be to accept this grant. And the receipt of that this monies would become available starting April 1st. And that would become our snow dump area, would be on the corner of Sunset and Felt Street.
Second.
Motion was made by Scott and second by Mitch. I do have one question, Matt.
Sure.
We use that corner sometimes for sidewalk, stuff like that. You ever see a problem with that getting in the way of our snow dump?
So like we're currently using it as a lay down yard. We have fill there. A lot of that fill is probably gonna be used with the fire department location is kind of why we're stockpiling it and the snow dump area. Okay. Ideally, we would not keep that amount of fill on site as we go through these year-to-year projects. We have been stockpiling it instead of giving it away for free, we have it in our back pocket for these two projects. Okay.
So just
So-
some planning.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Any other discussion?
So the corner of Sunset and Felt is where the snow dump is going to be. And talk to me a little more about what the filtration is, because going in, will that harm those areas in there? Because there's a little lake back there, a little pond.
No, that's not the thing.
That's what I'm wondering. That's why I'm
It
asking.
is road technically, although straight across.
Mhm.
They just don't have it on your mapping, but
Yeah.
This is on.
What are you looking at,
I just-
Amy?
Pulled up Google Maps. I just pulled up maps.
Okay, yeah, so ideally, our trucks would have probably a second driveway. There's one big, huge driveway there now, we would add a second one in, you would drive in. That grade of that gravel snow dump area will flow as snow melts, will flow west into that, area. If you're there walking the site, it actually is about a 6 or 7 foot drop off. It is the headlands for the Silver Creek kind of start in there, okay?
So the salt from the snow would be going in there. That was my concern,
That
was
is-
going into the river.
That will be not going into the river. We'll be using that grass area as the filter strip, so it's
Okay.
not going into the river.
Okay,
Okay, right now, we dump snow out at Olsen Park, it melts, it goes pretty much down the boat ramp into the river.
gotcha.
That's what we're trying to eliminate.
Okay, that's what I needed the clarification on. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Now we have a motion and a second. Do you want to go off to that?
Yep, so the motion was made by Scott, and I'm sorry, who was the second?
Mitch?
Midge?
Yep.
Okay, and the motion was to accept the grant and the receipt of it, with the funds being received in April of 2025. And to move the sunset, the snow dump location to Snowset, can't talk anymore, to Sunset and Feld. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, Amy Johnson.
Yes.
Lee Dashlet.
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt.
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt.
Yes.
Meverden.
Yes.
Swedberg.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes.
And D, the agenda language as it relates to public comment.
This was asked by Alderman Schmidt, and I know Steve, me and you, the mayor have talked about this a couple different times. To the way our public comment is written on our agenda. Currently, right now, we have under public comment that anybody from the public can come up and speak under more or less anything but for what's an agenda item on the agenda. I know Alderman Schmidt had, you had mentioned, Sturgeon Bay allows you to speak what's on the agenda. There's some, I think, people would like to allow, I mean, to come here, I understand, I think to come to a meeting tonight to talk about something that was voted on yet a month ago versus something that you're gonna talk about tonight, I think is what you're asking for or looking for.
Right. It just seems to me that, when people have concern about something that we're looking at and voting on, they have no way to express their concern. You can tell them to go to the committee level, but at the committee level, your public comment reads the same way. You can't talk about anything that's on the agenda. I just feel that we should give them the opportunity to address stuff that's on the agenda so that we also get the public's input, because the biggest thing I've heard lately is there's no way to communicate in this community. People don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, we're talking about this library and everything else, and it's kind of, all of a sudden, people are saying, well, what's this all about? I just think that we should give them the opportunity to come in, keep the same format as far as the minutes and stuff like that, and give them an opportunity to talk about what's on the agenda. Not to get into discussion, but at least to hear what people have to say.
I believe state statute and Robert's Rules of Order, both are allowed
Correct.
one way or the other,
Right.
from what I've dug into.
Yeah.
I remember, I believe originally when I first got on this body, it was allowed and then it was a change at some point, but I would, in my opinion, I would support 100% going back and leaving it open. I don't know. Trying to think of it. This is possible.
Are we concerned that it turns into an open meeting? I mean, like not open meeting, a public hearing?
Yes.
Even if we're not communicating, but they're communicating.
What Alder Schmidt is asking is that they would be able to come up and voice their opinion on the Olsen Park grant. The council and the mayor would still not take any.
Sure. No
If
discussion.
they're asking questions, you're not here to answer them.
Right.
You're letting them voice their opinion of their feelings on the Olsen Park grant.
And there are times when we have something on the agenda and we vote on it that very same night. And then their opportunity is gone, in my opinion. So I would favor that they get that opportunity.
I'm fine with it, doing it. I think it's a false consideration that there are no ways to communicate with us prior to it. And part of it, I think, is incumbent on the citizens to be paying attention on the regular, to know what's going on and having that engagement. If it makes it easier to communicate, and it's legit, it works, I have no issue with it, but I don't think it's entirely on providing that one moment of participation when it should really be an ongoing kind of discussion. But that's, that's a different thing too.
Yeah, Amy.
Do you have the history of how it was previous? I mean, when did this shift happen?
Do you remember
I
that,
don't
Jamie?
recall.
I think it was 3 minutes as well.
Before
It went up to
Jamie was-
five.
It was even before Jamie was.
Oh,
Okay.
I think we were at 3 minutes and then.
It was
we moved
3
to 5.
minutes and then I moved to 5 and.
And the reason I'm asking is, who made those considerations? Who said it was gonna be public and then non-public? Who determines whether it's 3 or 5 minutes? Is that something the council does? That's something the mayor does? So this is something we could potentially try for a year.
I'm
Assess
assuming
how it's going and then
it
move on
happened
to your
under-
point, Casey.
when you were the,
I think it was even before I was.
even before you were the mayor.
If I'm not mistaken, and maybe Pete could answer this, but the utilities on your agenda, you discuss what is on the agenda, correct? You're the opposite of the city. How does that work for you?
Yeah, so we'll participate.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I just said, anytime we can engage the public in our discussion, I think that's a good thing.
Agreed.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The utilities, this public comment must be limited to items on the agenda.
Yeah, and
Jamie and I were just kind of having a quick chat about it. You would want it to read to items on or off the agenda.
Either or.
Either or. So if I wanted to come talk about my tree, I would still have
Or
the option
you
to
wanna
do
talk
that.
about the Legion building, it's not
Yep.
on here. and feel
You
free
still
to-
can do it. Okay.
Well, if you'd open up and
Open
you wanna
floor.
stay to 5 minutes?
public
Well, I
comment,
think 5 minutes is long enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want this to turn into
it's for sure long.
Are you, would you be requesting, and I've seen this at other places, you bring up Sturgeon Bay. A lot of places do it where if you want to be on public comment, you have to sign up with,
when you get there.
some are when you get there, some are like you need to sign up within 5 hours of the meeting, something like that. So you have a way of knowing like, hey, this meeting is now going to be extended by X because I have 20 people who are going to do public comment for 5 minutes. So just some things to kind of keep in mind as you're going through and making these changes. Like I said, you went to Sturgeon Bay. I've seen other communities out on Clerk's List. This one kind of rolls around both ways. A lot do public comment where you can talk about items on the agenda. A lot are both and a lot are no. So it's kind of split.
I wouldn't mind to sign up at the meeting, so, and then you'd have the
Sure.
information, I'm okay with that, but 4 or 5 hours before, then they have to make 2 trips here.
And you can call, you can email, you can,
Amazing these things can do. When you were digging into it, in other communities is our 5 minutes congruent with theirs or is it 3? Because it used to be 3.
It's pretty common with 3.
3 is pretty common.
Let's go with.
We
Does
actually-
anybody have an issue going back to 3?
We actually, at one time, we went with a stopwatch.
Yeah.
I do notice, because I watch it, 3 might be a little short for someone to comment. Now, we can, but we'll be stopping a lot of people. And I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, typically, it's a little more than 3.
Well, I think it's up to you who is running the meeting.
Yep, and I'm fine with that, just letting you know what I'm noticing. When people come up
Yeah.
here, Mike's comments tonight, 4 minutes. Just sure you're aware of it.
But we can try it for 6 months, with 3
Absolutely,
minutes,
I'm
and
not,
then adjust.
I don't have an
We've
objection
gotta-
anyway, just telling you what I
Yeah.
noticed.
If it's up to this body, we can try it, assess how it's going. Feasible, is it doing what we want to do? We should give it a timeline. We should really put an end date on it so that forces us to take a look at it. Because maybe if no one comes out, so then. What's the purpose? Is the purpose to get people engaged in what's going on with the agenda or just getting people engaged in general? That's only my concerns. What's the purpose?
Any other comments? Would you like a motion then?
Yeah, I think let's make a motion and
Yeah, just so if the motion, there's just a few things that I heard here is Number one, changing it to, must be limited to items on or off the agenda. So I mean, we can kind of massage the wording on that and make it open. Comments must, so when whoever's making this motion, comments will be limited to 3 minutes, 5 minutes in length.
5 minutes.
And then,
Still,
obviously not to discuss, listen, and then if we want to sign up, if we would do that.
and
I
you
mean,
still have to state your name and address.
yeah, you still have to state your name and address, but I think the sign up might be helpful too, because, I mean, let's also just say that I have a room full of 20 people and nobody signed up, you know, what's your process or your procedure then? Do you allow that public comment or not, or what if somebody, you know, just things to think about while you're making this motion, and I agree with Alder Johnson's comments of, you know, maybe put a timeline on it, revisit it, see how it's working and how
I
you can
honestly
tweak it.
wouldn't mind if the names were here, I could just call them up, I wouldn't have to.
Sure.
Ask for hands to raise, so,
And that's why I kind of said, like, that's why a lot of
But
places
again-
sign up throughout the day,
yeah.
so that way you can have
Again,
that
I'm not
readily.
opposed to anything, just.
Sure.
So whoever wants to make that motion,
I'll make a motion that we allow them to come, the public to come forward and make comments. I would give them up to 5 minutes. I don't think we'll have that many, and we don't have that many usually of people who come forward. And that they can sign up either before or at the beginning of the meeting.
We wanna do like the 3-month trial period or something.
Oh, yeah, we can do it. Let's try it for a year. I don't think 3 months is long enough.
Right, for the year.
Yeah.
have a motion by John, did you get all that, Aaron?
I have a motion by John to allow public comment for items on or off the agenda. 5 minutes for the time frame, and then they could sign up before the meeting or leading right up until right before the meeting starts, right? And then give it a year for a trial base.
3 months, right? Or you want?
No, I don't think 3 months is long enough, Mayor.
I'd make
I
a
think-
recommendation. Let's just change it, okay? And in 3 months, 5 months, 7 months, 14 months, it's not working, we put it back on the agenda and we revisit it.
Sure.
We're not gonna bring this back to an agenda in 12 months and say, let's adopt this. Let's just adopt it.
Okay,
That's my recommendation.
noted. Is that good, Jim?
Yes.
You're good with that?
So we're removing the timeline for the
Yeah.
portion.
I just don't want it lost. That's why I gave it a timeline. I don't want us to say, oh, we're gonna look at it again, and then we don't go back to it. That's why I wanted the qualifier in a year, 6 month, 3 month. I didn't care. Just, I wanna make sure we're back to it. And I agree with you. I didn't want it to mean we're holding it up. It's just, we're gonna do our due diligence, look at it, and actually see if we're doing what we wanna do.
That's just my recommendation.
Thank you.
And then is the goal of this, like say somebody brings up something they wanna talk to, then are we gonna talk about this at a different meeting or what they bring up? Is that what our goal is?
Can I get a second to John's motion before we keep,
Second.
second by Mitch, thank you. Now.
I guess, what's our
Sorry.
goal with this? If somebody brings up, I wanna talk about whatever, are we gonna respond back and say, yes, we're gonna have a meeting and talk about this? Is that what we're gonna let them know? Or are we just gonna not even acknowledge? what
I
they
guess
say?
if it's working, we won't talk about it.
Well, if something's on the agenda that we're gonna act on, and you had 20 people come in here and give you an opinion, it probably is gonna sway you the way you vote.
The only problem.
The object of this is, and you can say, you can reach out to your alderman, we're going away from cable. We're expecting people to watch this on YouTube. People don't know what's going on in this community, and then all of a sudden they're blasting the council because gee, you went behind their back and you're doing this. Just like the fire station, when they're saying, we had 2 referendums, you voted no to build it, but we're going ahead with the monies that we're getting. People want to comment on that kind of
But how
stuff.
do we engage with them if we're not allowed to?
You're not gonna engage with them, you're looking for their input. I don't wanna open it up where all of a sudden I'm getting in a match between somebody here, that's not the
We're
intent.
arguing with anyone. No, we don't wanna
But
do
how
that.
do you get them the information they need to figure out what their question is, other than?
They're gonna have to try to monitor the agendas when they go out, just like committee meetings.
Well, if it's on the agenda for that day, you could take that in consideration. If it's not on the agenda for that day, we would just follow the normal protocol.
Cause they might be following the rumor mill and think this is what we're doing, and if nobody up here says, well, wait, here's the facts, and we don't do things by facts. How do you get that to them if we're not allowed to explain the whole thing to them?
Are we kind of getting off track? of what
No.
we're doing?
So I think what Kevin's saying is, if you're gonna talk about this later on the agenda, that's where you're gonna kind of address the comments, the rumor mill. But if he's coming in and talking about, I'm just gonna use trees.
Right.
Somebody comes and gives a public comment about trees, and that is not at all what's happening or how it's going on. Kevin is asking, how are you addressing that comment? So are you gonna put that on the next meeting agenda?
That's. Pump the brakes. That's a comment then, that this body gets to decide if you wanna put that on your future
Right, we should
agenda.
be able to tell
This
them.
body should say, no, that should go to the Parks Department, or that should go to Public Works. That doesn't get decided here. You can bring a recommendation from Public Works, and then we'll discuss it
And,
at Finance and Personnel or at the full council.
and I think, Matt, we do that already. If somebody comes and comments on something that's not on the agenda because they got a concern. Okay, we take that concern and we go to the proper committee and say, okay, look into this or reach out to that individual and get you their input. And address it there before it comes back to the full council.
But is your concern, if it's something like, for instance, we're gonna bulldoze the entirety of Vernon Street to put up a palatial
Right.
spa for the council members, and they come up and give that comment, after everything's settled, can we, maybe the mayor, clarify with them, right? Like, this isn't factual. It's not something that would be discussed on a future agenda because it's not something that's based in any rooted fact, I think is what.
Right, because the rumor mill spreads and they think we're doing this and really we're not, and they're off base.
Won't it be though that, if it's on the agenda, we will discuss it and they will know.
Right.
And if it's not on the agenda and we deem it important enough, we will put it. on
That's
the
what I'm
agenda.
asking.
If somebody comes in here tonight, on this agenda, and they have the right to come up and speak under public comment about something that's on the agenda. And they talk for their 5 minutes about the $1.7 million swing set you're putting at Olsen Park with this grant money, okay? They're done with their 5 minutes, you say, thank you very much, the next person gets called up there. When you get to that part of your agenda item, that's when you would address what's going on at Olsen
That's what
Park.
I mean,
What if it's
sure.
not on the agenda?
If it's not on the agenda and they come up and they talk about the $800,000 swing set at Olsen Park and it's not on the agenda, okay? This body says that should go to the Parks and Rec Committee and be discussed and brought back up here.
But if it's not factual, like if it's something that doesn't need to have follow-up because it's based not in anything that's reality, when is the avenue to share that? Is that then incumbent on maybe whoever represents them or the mayor to clarify after the meeting, to have that
I think
discussion?
that would be a good idea.
You have mayor's comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
yeah,
think a
that's-
good example is you get an individual that comes in because he's complaining that the rec isn't open.
Yep.
So many days a week.
Yep.
Okay, that's something that we've decided, the hours are decided by the Park and Rec. That's just that person's making a comment. We're not gonna take that and run with it because we've already made the decision. But this individual's not happy with that decision, so he's gotta have a place to air his concern. You know, but it's not gonna go any further than that.
I will say, if we have that sign-up sheet, the opportunity to reach back out to them is there. Then
It's there.
if we need to.
Okay, so just so I don't have this motion completely lost, I have a motion by Ortlieb and a second by Swedberg to change the public comment language to massage the first part about items on or off the agenda. Public comments will be limited to 5 minutes in length. Same with the name and address. And there's really not a timeline. We're just gonna see how this is working and kind of go with it from there. And then that they will need to sign up before or at the beginning of the meeting. And we'll kind of massage that language and put something on it for the next.
Create a
agenda.
sign-up sheet of.
Yep. Is this for just the city council meeting or is this for?
That'd be up to this body. Do you wanna do it at Finance and Personnel? Do you wanna do it just at this one?
I-
It's really confusing if you do it at one and not the
Financial
other.
personnel too, I think.
What about your committees?
I think across the
Oh,
board.
you're gonna do that across the board.
That would be my.
Our committee, we automatically put it on, we'll say, okay, let's put it on the, we think it's feasible, we put it on the agenda for the following.
Sorry, are we changing the public comment language on just the city council agenda or is it going to be changed on all agendas?
Should be on all.
Your motion, John.
All agendas.
Okay, I'll make sure that's added in there as well.
Mr. Whitaker, second. You wanna roll call that one?
Swedberg,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Dashlet,
Yes.
Johnson,
No,
Meverden,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
or
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes.
Administrators reports, yeah.
A couple things here, bear with me for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, you stop me along the way, but the redevelopment project right down the road here, kind of took off like wildfire. Now it looks like it slowed down a little bit. The elevator shaft is now in place. That is not the whole apartment complex. That is just the elevator shaft. So precast walls are expected to show up next week, the 12th or the 14th. We will be working with Northland Construction. They will probably be closing about a quarter or half of the road down when they set up their crane and their semis and walls come in to start to set those up. So there will still be access in and out of the grocery store, but we might narrow that up there a little bit. There might not be parking on that west side of the property there, just so the public knows, but we'll get lane delineators out there, obviously, and it'll be well marked when we get to that point. Arbor Wall project, they are done driving any piling now. Their permit is to the end of October, actually. Their permit is done. They will still be working down there. They were down there today cutting off feet. They'll still be working on the inside. They just can't be dredging anything or driving any piling, but that work is well ahead of schedule. Right now, we'll see what Mother Nature delivers here in the month of November, how much longer they're gonna work. So that's where that is. The purchase of 208 Steel Street, the city is scheduled to close on November 14th with the closing company. And then at that time, like was mentioned earlier, Bayland already has been here. They have the set of plans and they're moving forward with the design to what that layout is gonna look like. As soon as we have that from Bayland, I will get that out to the council and we'll start to kind of look at what works, what doesn't work, what everybody likes and things like that. So that's where that is. Reminder to the general public, November 1st through April 1st, winter parking ban is in effect. There will be no parking on any city street. What I'm gonna say is, myself and the chief have been kind of working last year with this. Keep an eye on the police department's Facebook page. He will kind of keep it updated. When it's 50 degrees outside, the chief and his officers aren't running around giving people parking tickets. But if there is snow in the forecast or it is snowing, we're gonna clamp down that, get them off the street, so everybody knows. You shouldn't be trying to figure out now, November 1st, of where you can park your vehicle for winter. You should have that planned and using it as a convenience, but have a backup plan in your back pocket for the winter parking. So 2025 budget hearing, the public hearing will be held here at City Hall, November 19th at 5 p.m., just out in front of our finance and personnel meeting. So that will be the public hearing for the budget. Cable channel programming, like everybody knows, just a reminder, January 1st, the cable channel will be off the air with the city of Algoma. You can use the YouTube and use up in the search Algoma Community Access channel. That'll bring you to every one of these meetings that you can live stream it or go back and watch it tomorrow. So the key thing is community access, Algoma Community Access channel. So everybody is aware of that. So City Hall will be closed Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 29th for the Thanksgiving holiday. So that's just a public reminder, so everybody is aware of that. Crews have been started and will continue, weather permitting, to pick up leaves throughout the city. Casey and his guys over there, they have a route. We run every single street in the city of Algoma. We pick up everything and then they start back over and we'll continue to run that route until all the leaves are picked up, or we can no longer pick them up because it starts snowing. So that's kind of how that goes. If you have curbside brush pickup, our last one was October of this year. There will not be a curbside brush pickup now until May of 2025. If you have brush in your yard or curbside, it is your responsibility as the homeowner to bring that up to 1520 Jefferson Street and get rid of it at the compost pile in the back of the street shop. So just everybody knows of that. It will not be picked up curbside till May. All right. And the general fall general election and upcoming 2025 election, I will turn that over to the clerk and she'll give you an update of what transpired last night and what's to come.
All right, thank you. We had a very successful election here in the city of Algoma yesterday. We had an outstanding voter turnout. It's one of my favorite days to work here on election day. You see so many people coming in and saying hi and how are you? And it's just a great environment to be in on election day. But I could not do it without the staff that we have here. Jamie, Matt, and Casey got a whirlwind of registrations yesterday. I think it was 141, which has to be some kind of a record. We had 1,785 ballots cast. I want to say thank you to city staff here. The poll workers were amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better day. Everything came out and everything went very smoothly. So thank you to everybody for coming out and voting. On to 2025, which is just around the corner. There are potentially 2 elections in 2025, potentially one in February and then one in April. Those who wish to take out candidacy papers for the 4 aldermanic seats that are up can do so. I have packets ready in my office. Just remember, packets for signature cannot be circulated until December 1st. If anybody has any questions on their declaration of candidacy or nomination papers, please get a hold of me and we can go through the paperwork together. If anybody is planning on not running again, you do need to file a non-candidacy paperwork and there's a deadline and date for that. I'll have all of that kind of stuff put in your mailboxes and then you guys can decide how you want to move forward. But just something to think about because December is just around the corner and then nomination papers can be circulated. Anybody have any questions or comments on the election updates? Okay, and thank you again to everybody. You guys did fantastic.
Question on your report.
Yes.
The budget hearing, do we have our final numbers now with the school and everybody as far as where it's at?
And we have NWTCs, we do not have the counties.
So will we have that information hopefully that
I
we
am
know where we're at?
hoping I will have the counties maybe next week and then have a little bit of time to play with the numbers before we have that meeting on the 19th.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Aaron, too, by the way. You did a great job. Everybody else. Give yourself kudos. Really good job.
Well,
Okay, mayor's appointments, it came to light that we had an opening on the planning commission. And that's gonna be pretty important coming up. I did reach out to a few different people. The last person I reached out to was Mark Grossfire, lives in the city, been living here all his life, pretty level-headed, and very committed to Algoma. And Mark has agreed to go on that committee, so it would be my recommendation to put him on the plan commission.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Wayne, second by Kevin. Do you need a roll call for that?
Whatever you prefer.
Just all in favor is fine. I didn't see any dissension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Second, Matt, myself and Amy went to the conference, the league conference. I just wanted to tell everybody that, as far as I'm concerned, I believe Amy shares my, it was phenomenal, the amount of information. Matt's been there before. Matt did a lot of the, here we are, Algoma, and can he help us with, but as far as Amy and I were concerned, I think we sat in a lot of classrooms. Wish sometimes we could sit in 2 and 3. I would recommend that everybody go to that. It was fantastic information. And then the last thing I had was, and it kind of addresses what we're talking about here tonight. I am trying to come up with a way for myself to have public meetings, monthly, quarterly, some way for me to meet the people. it was suggested maybe I do it in different businesses. I didn't really want to do it here. Make the staff stay here. I might do it different times of the day. I'm looking for suggestions at this point. So if anybody has any thoughts or comments on that, but I would like to try to start to get out there to be in the public a little more, to get some of that information out and get some of that information back in.
Do you have office hours?
I don't really have office hours. I come in every Monday for sure. I used to come in 4 or 5 days a week and most times nobody shows up. So if someone wants to meet me here, I will meet him here any time of the day. So all they have to do is reach out.
Former police chief Randy Rummerker, when he came to town, he would have coffee with the police chief.
Yep, I remember that.
Okay.
Yep.
And just a good idea, once a month, make it, one of the coffee shops, and they're gonna be able to come freely and just talk with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty open right now, so I'm looking for suggestions. And that is all I have. Agenda items for the next meeting. Aaron, Jamie, or Matt. Next meeting date is Monday, December 2nd at 5. And then I would look for a motion going to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, section 1, subsection C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, or public service position, and deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Talking about parcels 31,002, 21.2461, 31,002, 28.131, and 31,201, 27.102. And fire station location, sale of public property. Moved by Scott. Second by John. Roll call.
Moore,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Daxlet,
Yes.
Beverden,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes.
All right, We could give Jamie just a second here to rename some stuff. Not, you have everything open?
Yes. You want me to go and announce it? There's nobody out there, me besides you, correct?
Yeah, smoke downstairs.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, we'll back in open session. And first, we would be looking for a motion to the public services. Position.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the hire for the open public works position. And for the city to move forward with hiring Mark Kostechka as discussed.
Second.
Motion is by Scott and second by Midge. Roll call on that one, please.
Yes. Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Amy Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt.
Yes.
Scott Meverden,
Yes.
Casey Boer,
Yes.
John Ortlieb, yes. Midge Swedberg,
Yes.
Lee Dashlet,
Yes.
motion carries.
The fire station location was in the closed session, but we had discussed that in open session, and so there was no action discussed in closed session. And then we will look for a motion for the sale of public property that's written by.
Sure. So the mayor is looking for a motion for the landowner Mark Kostechka and the city of Algoma to exchange the following parcels at an even trade with no monetary exchange. City-owned parcel 31,002, 21.061, 53.25 acres. Exchanged for parcels owned by Mark Kostechka, 31,002, 28.131.22 acres. 31,201, 27.102, 31.2 acres. With this exchange, the city of Algoma will no longer receive land rent payments from Heinz Hillcrest Dairy. Beginning in 2025, the lease will then be transferred over to Mark Kostechka.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Amy and second by John. We'll call for that.
Midge Swedberg,
Yes.
Amy Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Casey Boer,
Yes.
John Ortlieb,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Scott Meverden,
Yes.
Lee Dashlet,
Yes.
Thank you. And now I would be looking for a motion to adjourn
So moved.
by Wayne, second by Lee.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?